You don't know that song?
I don't know that song.
Some folks are born with a silver spoon in hand. Red, white, and blue.
Okay.
It ain't me. It ain't me.
I see you. Okay, well, it is me, and this is the PatCave. Welcome to...
I butchered it. I'm sorry.
Welcome to the PatCave, a podcast where we talk all about superheroes, pop culture, nostalgic TV and movies we grew up with.
Oh, yeah.
As always, joining me today, Alex Bootyman Boots.
Lovely to be here, Pat Man.
What else is lovely about today?
Not Harrison Ford.
Hot take right away. We saw Captain America Brave New World.
Yes, we did.
We went to the theater last night.
Uh-huh.
Empty theater.
Yeah, which I'm going to say my favorite part about the crippled Hollywood state of film.
Get our own theater.
Get our own theater. Yeah, we had one guy in the back that chose to sit right behind me. Pet
Right
peeve
next
of
to
mine.
us. Yes.
Felt the kicks.
Yes. And I mean, there was only 6 of us in the theater, and the guy handed out these posters.
Yeah.
Which was a nice little
nod.
Yeah, it's like, hey, we got too many of these.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we're going to talk about initial thoughts, box office, cast, and give it a score at the end. This is the review for Brave New World.
Wait for it.
So you've seen first Captain America.
Yes, yeah.
Which was,
First Avenger.
we can agree that's a great movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think buying into a reestablished Marvel universe was critical with that film because we have to buy into Captain America, which we've never had well, we did in the 90s.
But it was cheesy and it was hard to do in a way that's believable.
We get kind of spoiled in the late 2000s and all the 2010s with Endgame and with this like onslaught of amazing superheroes from Marvel. We're in the midst of a superhero. What is it called?
Superhero fatigue.
Yeah, I think you guys are aware of it.
And I don't like to throw around that term because it's just bad writing. Like, that's what we're sick of. We're sick of the MCU doing the same thing over and over. Now, do you think this did the same thing the MCU does?
I have mixed feelings because I gotta admit something right now to everybody. Under perjury, under
you're under oath.
I'm under oath here in an espionage sort of way. I really enjoyed this movie.
That's what you said right out of the theater. Yes,
and I feel like gross.
It was
for
fun.
Saying that.
It was fun right out of the theater. But I'm glad we had a couple days to let it soak in.
Yeah,
because I look back at it and go, wow. There was some plot holes and some problems. Actually, let's get into the summary of the movie first.
Yeah. Sam Wilson, the new Captain America, finds himself in the middle of an international incident and must discover the motive behind a nefarious global plan.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think that necessarily covers what the film was about. Like, the plot to me was like USA and Japan discovered a brand new pimple on the Earth, and they were in a fight to see who gets to pop it first.
Sure.
Yeah, like the celestial island shows up, and there's this new element that I wasn't aware of, adamantium.
Adamantium.
And so that
is the pimple.
That's gonna and that's gonna replace vibranium to some degree.
Yeah. So in that homework that you had to do for this movie, I don't think a lot of people saw Eternals.
Right.
And a big celestial came out of the ocean. It ended up being adamantium, which is Wolverine's metal.
Yes, that's what I was trying to find the significance to.
And the difference between vibranium and that, vibranium's super lightweight.
Owned by Africa or
Wakanda.
Yes,
Wakanda, and holds kinetic energy. Adamantium is super strong, can't cut through it, super heavy. So they have different elements, but just as strong, I guess. So the world's fighting over this important metal.
Gotcha. And as an audience member, it was clear to me that the world was at stake because of this new element. What wasn't clear was like how that related to like the Red Hulk or how that related to some of what happened in the trailer. I was a little bit like, that's interesting. Why is it interesting? Wasn't really well explained.
Yeah. And so speaking of Red Hulk, the cast of this movie, we
let's get
got
into the cast.
Harrison Ford is probably the biggest name.
Han Solo.
Anthony Mackie, a.k.a. Papa Doc.
Mm-hmm. Joaquin Torres. That's Danny Ramirez, that actor.
And he plays the new Falcon.
Yes.
And I liked him.
I liked him a lot. He reminds me of Jaime Reyes a little bit.
A lot of personality.
Probably because I'm racist. No.
A lot of personality.
A lot of personality.
Yeah.
I love the scene where like he's got to like get on this road trip. He's like, well, what about the Doritos? What about the bag of chips? And like
I will say the banter was good. Yes.
The dialogue was really great. I loved his moment where he defeats the bad guys and then like celebrates. He's like, no one's around to see this.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's
pretty cool.
classic Marvel comedy right there.
Yeah.
Now we got who else
we
of
got
significance?
we got
here?
this is significantly weird. We've got Shira Haas playing Sabra. That's the mutant, the lead of security, tiny McTiny Pants.
Well, she was gonna be a mutant. But
Yeah.
she just bit the Black Widow.
Right.
Tiny pants.
Yeah. I don't know what her name is.
She was too small.
Yeah.
She was too
And
small.
you know what? I'm sure that actor, she was a good actor. It was just a strange choice. And I think that there's a lot of strange choices in the cast if we keep looking. Giancarlo Esposito. It's hard to name a film he's not in at this point. He's invaded my universe of Star Wars. He's invaded yours in Marvel,
He's in
Breaking Bad.
The Boys.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, let's get a
bad guy.
that's
But
smooth and like we just knew what to expect from him. He was part of the reshoots. They threw him in later.
I think he worked as like a sub villain.
Mm-hmm.
This was like in a place where like, do we have too many villains detracting from the main guy, which is Tim Blake Nelson, the leader.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying there.
I forgot about it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, pick one.
The movie was overstuffed.
Yeah, and not to mention, like, the 22 reshoots was supposed to be the whole...
The Serpent Society?
The Serpent Society was completely thrown to the wayside.
It sounded like the stuff that they rewrote. The original sounded more interesting than what we got.
Yeah.
Now, what was interesting about the box office?
Oh.
Is it doing good? Is it doing bad?
It's there. We are $31 million past budget.
Okay.
So box office has, as of today, earned $31 million. So it is not...
And the budget was probably
$180 million.
$180 million.
Yeah, so it has made, as of today, $211 million.
Okay. I could see Disney burying the real cost of this with reshoots and all.
They're going to have to bury the entire universe if they're not more careful.
Yeah. And so one of my things about the cast I did not like was the replacement with Harrison Ford. What was the actor's name that passed away?
I'm sorry. William Hurt passed away
Hurt.
back in 2022. So this is a re-entry of Thaddeus Ross. I did it again. Thaddeus Moss is Randy Moss's son, and he's a tight end that doesn't play in the NFL anymore, for those that care.
Me and my dad laughed out loud when he came down from being the Hulk.
Yeah.
And just was like, he looked so fragile. And
I mean, he's almost 80. He's probably over 80 now.
Yeah. I just saw Harrison Ford. I mean, he's such a recognizable face.
He is. That part in the movie wasn't like what made it bad for me.
Yeah.
Like, I still enjoy him as an actor.
Mm-hmm.
Weird choice of cast. I feel like they could have gone with a couple of different actors, and they just chose him for star power.
Sure.
And that's what they did for a lot of these characters. That's exactly why they chose Giancarlo Esposito, and he knows it, and he'll cash that paycheck with a smile on his face.
Every time.
Yeah. And I mean, it was cool to see Liv Tyler come back into focus, Betty Ross.
For a second.
Yeah.
Like, you made a great joke. My dad was like, why didn't they have, we're skipping to the end of the movie here. Why didn't they have Liv Tyler come talk down her father at the battle? And you're like, that was way too expensive.
Yeah, that'd be way too expensive. Yeah, I don't know what she's making right now.
I just think it was overstuffed, and it didn't feel like Captain America's movie.
You know, that can work sometimes. Like, a good version of that is Civil War. Didn't feel like Captain America's movie, but that was a clear pivotal moment for the Avengers. This, you are left in the Dark Ages, essentially. We haven't seen the Avengers since Endgame. Has it really been that long?
Well, and speaking of that, one of the plot points in this movie was Thaddeus Ross asks
Sam Wilson
to restart the Avengers.
Right.
Which, coming from the man that started the Sokovia Accord.
Sokovia
Accord. So that was one of those options, and I'm sitting there like, damn it. Like, because I know we're going to get years and years of Sam Wilson as Cap, which... It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's
like when someone's not a big sports fan and they're watching the Super Bowl at a Super Bowl party, like, the statement that they're going to make is, the ball went.
They sported.
This game was played. This movie was filmed.
I feel obligated to see these movies.
I do
because
too.
It's my love.
Yeah, and then it's like they're literally just regurgitating the same pop culture stuff that we see and storylines in these hero movies, and we're just gonna keep going to see them because we like the characters.
Yeah, or maybe we keep going just hoping for more.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So, what are some things
that I liked.
That you liked, yes.
It's tough.
Because you had fun, you said, when you came out of the theater.
This felt like an espionage spy movie at times, and I really enjoy that aspect of movies.
The cinematography in that aspect was great. The close-ups, looking at the camera, the make you feel uncomfortable, not knowing who's pulling the strings.
While cheesy at times, I think Carl Lumley, who played Isaiah Bradley, I think he was incredible. I liked the moments that he had. His character, it was so sad. Someone that spent years in prison that's released has to go through that again, and you just see like the humanity in him. And I believed him and Anthony Mackie's connection.
And he was a big plot point in Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Okay.
And so you got to hear his backstory. He was the first Captain America that they experimented the super soldier on.
Oh.
It worked. He did a bunch of off paper assignments for them, and then they locked him up.
What a cool thing for the country to do to a guy.
I liked all the Hulk stuff.
Yeah, I did
2008 Hulk, if you remember, it's still in the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
This was a 20-year-old movie. You even leaned in when we saw the leader. What's his name?
Tim Blake Nelson.
Yeah, you were like, oh, there's Tim Blake. I was like, do you remember him from the first
He's
Hulk?
Dr. Pendensky from Holes.
Yeah.
Yes. He's the one that makes fun of Zero in a really mean way.
And I remember you saying, you're like, I would have maybe casted someone different. I go, do you remember he was in the Hulk? And you're like, oh, it's been a long time.
It's been a that was 2008.
And that was Ed Norton.
Are we getting into scores now?
I think so.
Yeah. I still, like, this movie has merit in terms of, like, the acting and stuff, but you're going to get a little bit lopsided in terms of trying to keep up with the other stuff that's just being shat out by Marvel right now. To put it lightly, this is confusing. Still had a great time. I didn't hate the Hulk, but I really want to see Harrison Ford's like takes where he's like looking like he's shitting himself because he's trying to be.
That's gonna be a meme.
I give this a 7.3.
Okay.
Yeah.
7.3.
It was. I still had a good time in the theater. If I saw this outside of the theater, this probably gets a 4.7.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your Brave New Booty score is a 7.
0.434. We'll just put a bunch of 3s and 4s.
More editing. Well, and I think my initial score was like 5.4.
Yeah.
So I really went in with low expectations, and I am now sitting. My Brave New Booty score is like a 7.2.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
Because I thought it looked great at some points. Other points you could see where the reshoots were.
Yeah.
Other times I laughed with Sam Wilson punching guys and they would like get knocked out. Like when Chris Evans went on that boat in Winter Soldier, you knew those guys were staying down.
We also enjoyed the comedy. Like there was such a somber moment that I thought was kick ass. You know, talk about cameos. We get Bucky coming back into the fold, and they have a little discussion about how like Danny Ramirez. The new
Falcon.
Torres.
Yes.
That's his name. They're talking like he's in the hospital and stuff, and they do like a little bit where they're like, did you think that speech was powerful? Yeah, super powerful. Good writing.
He said, Did your speechwriters write that for you? Yeah, because I guess Bucky is now a politician.
Yeah,
he's wearing a little pin and he's got the whole thing on. And
what's he running for? Was he the vice?
I don't know. Maybe he could help out.
Is he J.D. Vance in this scenario?
Sam refuses to take the super soldier serum.
Right.
Which also in my head, I'm like, this guy's still human. Like,
yeah.
It just
taking semi-truck punches.
And he is just taking a beating. And it took me out of the movie more and more.
Gotcha.
Every time I saw something like, that shouldn't be possible. I know we're talking about a superhero movie here. But your suspension of belief can only go so far.
Yeah. And paired with just like trying to remember little minute details from all of these other Disney Plus shows and movies that we've seen years ago. It is such a headache. So I feel you if you're not going to see this in theaters.
Yeah.
I don't know how they get themselves out of this hole, man.
Well, I think also they need to stop giving away. I think Red Hulk as a surprise would have been dope.
Yeah.
Like, if they didn't show us and advertise everything about it. Because, spoiler for this, he's in about 6 minutes of the movie at the very end.
Which the trailer pretty much encompassed that 6 minutes.
Yeah. So that's what they need to work on, and
they got to fix the White House. That thing's in pieces.
Yeah, absolutely. We enjoyed the experience.
Yeah, it was our first time since
Aquaman.
Or Marvels.
Oh, we did the Marvels. Well, it was a lot better than the Marvels.
A lot better than the Marvels. Yeah.
Well, make sure to like, subscribe, share with your fellow nerds. Shout out some of your favorite Marvel movies that we haven't watched yet.
Yeah, and Steve Rogers or Sam Wilson. I kind of want to see in the comments who you prefer.
Yeah, let's hear that. Let's get the conversation going.
Yeah.
That was the PatCave. America.
America. Fuck yeah. Books. Walmart. Chinese food.